is going on, Joseph McCormack? You know, wow, look at this. I just got a pop-up. It said, are you playing music? No, that's my beautiful voice singing, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the After Outdoors podcast.
A little scary.
We've got Joey McCormack. Finnegan's running around here meowing like a madman to me. We are back on audio, so even though you can't see this, Finnegan is saying hello in the video screen right now in the camera. He's very upset that, I fed him and I'm not watching him eat. Joe, thanks for joining, man. A little over 24 hours till you head to the great South Carolina state.
South Carolina, come on and raise up. P. Pablo. Well, actually,
like a helicopter? No.
He was singing about North Carolina, but you never go wrong with some P. Pablo,
I actually recently asked what happened to P. Pablo.
Is he in jail or something?
I don't know. That's a good question. We'll leave it to the readers, the listeners rather, to let us know on that one.
I think he's in. I could be wrong. Don't listen to me.
But, well, I'm not going to listen to you. But,
that's probably okay. A smart choice.
So, I told you I was with the family this weekend, right? Family partay. Young Brian Hacker is recently engaged, so congratulations to
Brian.
We didn't do that last week. I probably should have, but what are you going to do? So
what are you going to do? Can't change it.
I guess technically you could always take it back, but that's not going to happen, and we don't wish for that. So my niece goes to me. She goes, Uncle Mike. She goes, you and cousin Joe talk a lot about fishing.
That's what we like.
I said, you have a problem with that? She goes, can you talk about whales on the next podcast? And I said, well, I was like, I don't know if you listen every week, but we don't always talk about fishing. We talk about other things. We talked about how cousin Joe caught a dolphin a couple weeks ago. Thank you. And I said, but we will do you a solid and I will find something to talk about regarding a whale. So lo and freaking behold, what happened to the news this week?
I got swallowed by a whale and spit out.
Yeah, that was, this guy in Massachusetts. So he was diving off of, I think it was Provincetown, in Cape Cod. Josiah Mayo surveyed the ocean surface on Friday, watching the bubbles that emerged from his fishing partner's underwater breathing gear. It was Michael Packard's second plunge into the ocean off the coast of Cape Cod this morning, and he already caught about 100 pounds of lobsters. That's a heck of a lot of lobsters, man, and that is delicious.
That is delicious. I'm not going to lie.
It says, Mayo wasn't sure what he was witnessing. A burly fish thrashed before him, and for a split second, he thought it was a great white shark. The Mayo saw its flukes cut through the water and observed it violently shake its head. This was a humpback whale, Mayo told himself as he recounted in an interview with the Washington Post. It was a relief because it wasn't a shark, which meant Michael would all be done at this point if it was.
Yeah.
Moments later, there was another mighty boil of water, and Packard soared out of the ocean and flopped back down. He sped the boat up next to Packard, who was floating in a puffed-out dry suit thanks to the whale's speedy ascent to the surface. I was inside it. I was inside the mouth, Packard told Mayo. It tried to eat me. I'm a little flabbergasted. We were talking last week about the Bible story, right? Getting swallowed by a whale.
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah and the whale. And I'm reading Lords of the Fly by Monty Burke. And I think it's the first chapter, maybe the second chapter. He's kind of talking about the lore of tarpon, right? So this is about the great tarpon catches of the, past 40, 50 years. So in the 1970s, they're in Florida. And he's talking about how Michelangelo's depiction of Jonah and the whale, it's not a whale, it's a tarpon. So you and I got into a big kind of discussion regarding that, and lo and behold, this happens like 2 days later. So freaking cool. So there you go, niece. We're talking about whales on it.
That would have to be absolutely ginormous tarpon. But hey, what do I know?
Oh, well, so, he's saying in the book, and I'm not, a tarponologist, will say, or whatever you want to call them, someone who studies tarpon, but there's a lot unknown about the world of the deep blue sea. Right. And I think we can all admit that that's one of the last great frontiers on this planet. There are creatures down there that we don't know about. We don't know about the habits. For example, they caught a great white shark off the coast of Seaside Heights here in New Jersey this week as well. It was young, 7 feet long, right, a mile offshore. Apparently following the bunker in. But that's another prime example. I feel like great whites have been talked about since the great movie of Jaws. And for better or worse, it's caused fear in the eyes of sharks, or in the eyes of humans about sharks, rather.
Right.
And we don't know much about them, right? We don't know where they're breeding. We don't know where they spend a lot of their time. They go into the depths of the ocean in the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean and disappear, right? So even their tags just kind of stop checking in. So I think the same is with tarpon, and that's what this guy Monty Burke is talking about a little bit. Is we don't know really what it is about them. We only see them when they're headed in and out of, whatever it is they're doing along the coast during their run. But they know that they go out into the deeps of the Atlantic and disappear. So it's not in the realm of, I guess, possibility that there's some giants out there, even bigger than the world record catches that are out there.
Right.
And the same are with whales. So who knows? I mean, there's the great octopus out there, great squids are out there, some pretty cool creatures that man has yet to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they have no idea what's out there. They really, really don't. I still have a hard time believing it was a tarpon because I don't know. A whale eating a man, we know that can happen. I mean, it's happened to me before. Little known fact. I was sponging in South Carolina. The waves were firing that day. I had my fins on and my paddle gloves, and I was just doing some crazy El Rolos and just, completely just shredding it on my bodyboard. And the lifeguard blew people in. And I was like, whatever, I'm out here. I've been bodyboarding my whole life. I know what I'm doing. I just shred all the time. Next thing I know, there was a tug and everything was black, and I felt like almost like teeth, but hair all over me. And I was freaking out because I didn't know what it was. So I started swinging and kicking my flippers. And next thing I know, spit out, ejected like 20, 30 feet in the air and land and swam in the shore. And the lifeguard, my buddy down there, is like, man, that was a whale. You just had a whale take you into its mouth and spit you out. Nobody believes us because nobody else witnessed it, but us too. So, but hey, it happened to me.
I mean, it can happen to any of us, right? I guess is the moral of the story, and that's the hell of a blue ox tail right there.
It was scary, but I would do it again. Like I said, I love bodyboarding.
Yeah,
and it's the price you take sponging. It's a dangerous world out there when you're bodyboarding. But
I can't think of bodyboarding without thinking of Kenny Powers.
Yeah. I've caught a couple waves with him out there in Myrtle Beach. He's sick. He's definitely really good.
Yeah.
His El Rolos are on absolute point. Really good. Really good.
I'm trying my hardest not to laugh. But this is serious, kids.
Oh, no joke. Yeah, I mean it was frightening, but afterwards I just considered a right of honor to spit in a whale's mouth. It's hey.
How many people can say that, right?
Not a lot, but I can. So
you live to tell the story today on the Hacker Outdoors podcast. So we really appreciate it, Joe.
Anytime. Do it for the show.
We definitely do it for the show. Although you wouldn't catch a shark using your bass rod. I'm slightly disappointed about that.
Well, it's because I caught a dolphin and I got in trouble. You know.
Right.
Apparently, that's frowned upon.
Well, anything's frowned upon.
Nowadays, yeah, people have gotten a little too soft. But hey, it's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. I was thinking of you. I found the absolute most perfect job for you in the town forum here on the old Facebooks. I'm going to read you the job posting, but long story short is there is a gentleman with a large boat who is looking for a deckhand. And
what kind of fishing is it?
Oh, it's not fishing. This is pleasure boating.
Oh. Sign me up.
I sent it to my buddy, and I'm gonna read it to you first, and then we'll get into what he said. It says, offering a real exciting, fun, and educational job for anyone over the age of 18. My wife and I have a pretty large boat that we're keeping in the Hudson River this summer. I'm getting a little older and slower, and we could use another set of hands to run the boat. We need someone who help us anchor, handle docking lines, launch the dinghy, and relieve me at the helm, aka start the boat. The boat is about 45 minutes from our town. We often have guests on, but usually only take day trips. We leave the dock about 9:30 and return by dinner. ... Goes on and on. So I sent it to my buddy who worked on a fishing boat back in college, and I said, "Look, you're a teacher. Like, what are you doing this summer? Go hang out on a boat with Rich."
Yeah, it's
beautiful. Great.
It doesn't sound bad at all.
No, actually, it great.
It does, especially if they're nice people and treat their employees well. I mean, hell, that's a good job.
That's what I said.
I was sitting on the Jimmy. I mean, your nephew. That would be a great experience.
He's not old enough, unfortunately.
True. I always forget about that part.
But you know what my buddy's response was?
What was that?
Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, it's going to be like Captain Ron, right? Like, Captain Ron. This is going to be a grand old time. Fantastic. Go hang out with some Jerseyans on their, beautiful boat. This is great. No, his response is, it sounds like code for a quote unquote swinger kind of thing.
It's funny you said that, because when you were saying the ... and I was kind of thinking the same thing. That was the first thought that actually came to my mind, that this sounds a little swingerish. But hey, what do you know? They could just be, I don't know.
I'm sure they're upstanding citizens.
But no joke. That was my first thought. My very first thought was like, this sounds a little possibly swingerish, but
a little.
We all know how Captain Ron. I mean, he was a little goofy, but hey, to each their own.
But hey, it was all fun and games, right?
Well, Summer Rentals. Summer Rentals, another good one with John Candy.
Oh my gosh, Summer Rental.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you have not seen Summer Rental,
that's one I haven't watched in a while.
I watched it not too long ago. It's phenomenal. Still phenomenal. Still holds water today. Just a great movie. Yeah, absolutely.
So we hit on whales. We're talking about boats and potential swingers. Let's see what other topics we can get into today.
That is so funny, because that was literally my first thought when you said that. Like, it sounds a little little swingerish.
Well,
100%.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but is what it is. I was kind of, we were talking about safety, right, on the water last week, and I was looking at the news, right? I follow a lot of outdoor news, as you could imagine, having this podcast, and we don't always talk about everything, but there was that Irish hiker that went missing. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Where was that at? In Ireland?
No, Grand Teton. So he hasn't been seen in a week. He's a 27-year-old hiker. Basically, they're asking public's help to help find him. And I'm going to slaughter his name, even though I am a descendant of Irish people. Cian, Sean, C-I-A-N. McLaughlin. Yeah, I'm not good at that. He was last seen hiking on June 8th, half a mile from the Lupine Meadows trailhead, right? He was reported missing after he didn't show up for work in Jackson, Wyoming. So, if anyone has seen anyone out there. I do get geotagged from people that do listen to the show that are out west. If you are out in the Wyoming area and Grand Teton area, please
Yeah.
keep your eye out for this guy, man. That's rough.
Yeah,
That is,
me. A lot of times I'm goofy and could be considered not safe sometimes. But living out in the Midwest for a little bit, anytime you go out there, you should always have somebody with you. I mean, it's a whole another vast country where it's very easy just to disappear, unfortunately, and never be seen again.
yeah.
It's tough. I think you sent me that one article. I forget about the trail where the guy, this family found a guy like off the trail, like 100, 200 yards, sent the rescuers back there, and they somehow didn't find the guy. They still didn't find the guy. And the next day, the guy went back out again and found him and waited for the rescuers and took him to the exact geotag. I mean, that's how dangerous these places are out there. It's
so remote and vast that you don't know. I mean, even here, I mean, in northern New Jersey, right?
Oh yeah.
You have the opportunity to get mixed into some crap, man. And
100%.
Here you go. I had a bunch of things pulled up. One of the other things was, hiker missing after being charged by bears near Palmer in that's in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is another big thing, man. Like, don't go alone. And, you never know what you're going to run into. Here in New Jersey,
anywhere you shouldn't go alone. Yeah, really.
There's a park called the Torn here in Morris County. They closed the park this week because there was a large, quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes in the air, aggressive bear approaching visitors. So they legit closed this county park, and they're searching all over this park for this. And this is a place, I used to take the kids. We would go find frogs and snakes and all sorts of cool stuff. But I wouldn't consider it a super remote park, but they do have coyotes. They do have, every bird you could possibly imagine, raptor and otherwise, snakes. And then of course they have bears. I mean, it's remote enough. You don't need much to have a nice, healthy population of bears.
No, the people wouldn't believe that there's a road called the BW Parkway by me, that Baltimore Washington Parkway that runs from Baltimore to Washington, and people hit bear on there all the time. Driving, hit bear, and think of that. I mean, it's insane. Like when you drive through this area, it's not really remote at all. I mean, you're driving. I think the distance between New York and Washington and Baltimore is only like 45 miles, and constantly, probably once a year, you hear stories about people hitting bear. So yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. They're around me now. The population has definitely exploded. They had to lock down schools right by me a couple of years ago because of bears.
Really?
Yeah. Carol, I think I sent you the link a while ago.
Last year, right? Yeah. Or before the lockdown.
Yep, it was actually the elementary school I went to, Carroll Manor Elementary, and they had to shut it down because of bear sightings.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The population's exploded, and don't be fooled. I mean, they're here.
I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this, right? I'll go out and say that I absolutely love bears, right? But I respect them. I know. I always joke, Brian and I have an inside joke that, if you've ever seen Legends of the Fall, right? Tristan dies by fighting a bear, and
it was a good fight.
It was a good fight, and
it was a good death. A good death. Yes, that was it.
I said, I would like to fight a bear. So it's been a joke for the better part of, I don't know, freaking 20 years that I would fight a bear, and it's a joke. I do not at all mean that. No, because bears will mess you up, man.
Yes, they will. They're not to be messed with.
No, but in New Jersey, we recently, like I said, I'm an advocate for bears. I like them. I think that there's a purpose for them. But our governor canceled the bear hunt this year. So, they're trying to rebound the population a little bit. And I will say, in all the years that I've lived where I live, I've never seen a bear.
Never.
never. However, my neighbor called me one day when I went to the in-laws. I had like just left the house 15 minutes earlier. He's like, "There's a black bear on your front lawn."
Yeah, I can't believe like where you're at now. You still haven't. You have trail cams too, don't you?
Yeah, the trail cam I have needs to be replaced. It shuts itself off after 24 hours and does not come back on, unfortunately.
Uh,
So I missed it. There was a coyote that night, and I was all excited. I was like, "Yeah!" I knew he was behind the fence, right where the trail cam was, and whether or not he walked in front of it and triggered it was another thing. But I went out there in the morning, and the trail cam was off, and sure enough, I only had like 2 hours of footage of like just the squirrels running around like madmen and women.
hmm.
And that was it, because they run up and down the tree, I guess, right in front of it. I'm triggering the camera every 5 freaking seconds.
You and your squirrels.
So we have, I don't know if we mentioned this last time. So there's a new squirrel that's been showing up, and have you ever heard of botflies?
I have heard of botflies. I have not seen one. Actually, my last fishing tournament, the guy I fished with, I think, was talking about botflies. I have not seen a botfly.
So I didn't even know we had botflies in New Jersey, and I'm gonna just pull it up real quick and read you what a botfly. A botfly is also known as a warblefly, heelfly, and gadfly, and are a family of flies technically known as ostridae. Their larvae are internal parasites of mammals and sometimes other species growing in the host flesh and others within the gut. So long story short, this nasty creature that kind of looks like a bumblebee that I found dead outside goes around and injects its larvae into mammals. And then
Are we supposed to kill them too if we see them?
I think so. I've got to verify that. So this one was dead. They kind of look like bumblebees, so it's a little discerning. Like you see, you're like, oh, is that a dead bumblebee? Like, I don't use pesticides in my yard, so I don't believe in that. So I'm like, damn, like what the heck happened here? But upon much more inspection on it, it was a gadfly. And anyway, they inject their larva into you. And when the larva starts to grow, it emerges from your skin. And it's basically a parasite. It's eating you from the inside out.
Yeah.
So it's large enough to emerge and then fly away. Terrifying that they do this. So this freaking blue jay, do you see this?
Let me see.
Oh, you missed it. He just jumped onto the window. He's like, hey, nuts.
Hey, do you see me? I want food. You feed me constantly. Give me more food.
Yeah, it's not like you have bird feeders in the back. Oh, look at this. You see this? We've got
there's your squirrel.
One squirrel with it. Hey, that would be Albert. Albert is on the back steps eating a nut, and we have a sparrow coming up trying to eat a nut as well. So that's the wild world of
Michael's backyard.
But so Donna calls me and she's like, you just left for work. Like, there's a squirrel back here and he's got like, it looks like he got mauled by something. And I took a picture. So she's like, when you get to work, she's like, open it up and take a look at it. So I look at the picture. Oh no, it looked like something had caught it by the back of its neck and ripped off like a hair. Like if you picture the length of a squirrel, from basically the top of its skull down to like its shoulders was missing hair. And there were these 2 massive wounds there. This poor guy, man. He got tagged by something.
Yeah.
He's a smaller squirrel. I'm like, something got him, a cat, fox, the coyote, I don't know. And, he's limping along. So she gave him nuts. And he didn't see him again. So, I contacted one of the rescues here in New Jersey and I sent them the picture and I said, I got this guy and, it looks like he got attacked by something. Do you want me to trap him and bring him to you? What do you want to do here? Right.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, Michael, thank you for contacting us. Those look like gadfly bites. And it looks like the larva had emerged from its skin, leaving these 2 massive gaping holes in the back of this poor squirrel's neck. Poor thing. So
those are new. They're new here. That's something new. They're not something that's been here for a long time. They've been freshly imported because I think that's what the guy I was fishing with was talking about. How if you see them, you're instantly supposed to kill the botflies. They're not good.
And again, it's difficult to tell. At least the one that I saw, it looked like a bumblebee until you got close, and then you're like, oh, that's not a bumblebee. What is this thing?
Because I think they can hurt domesticated animals too. Yeah.
Dude, they can hurt you.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, they're not.
they can inject their larvae into any mammal, and they routinely do. And apparently this is a problem with squirrels in general because they're always just hanging around, and there's so many of them. They're easy targets for the gadflies, and we didn't see the squirrel for a few days. We've now affectionately called him Scar or Scabby, depending upon the day. But he showed up again yesterday.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
That's good.
and he's starting to scab over, which it looks good. And that's what the rescue had said to do is just keep an eye on it and see if it closes. If it starts to close, then he's good to go. They don't have a large or high mortality rate from gadfly bites, even infections. So luckily, they said just put out clean water and please put out food for him. And I said, well, that's not a problem. My yard is full of bird seed and
Do you know who you're talking? I'm Noah.
yeah, yep. I'm preparing for a war with my animals here.
Right.
So yeah, that's Scabby. He's a new one.
That's yeah. Those things worry me, especially having a dog because I don't want that happening to my dog. I mean, that's pretty gnarly stuff right there.
No, and it kind of creeped us out too because we've been taking Finnegan, our cat, out, and this is the first time in our lives that we've ever had a cat on a leash and brought him outside.
Did you ever think you were going to be the people with cats on a leash? Did you ever think when you
No.
were growing up, like, I'm going to be the guy who walks a cat on a leash?
No, and we don't walk him. We walk him around the yard, which is nice. But like my neighbors 2 doors down, they have a dog, and they were looking like, "What is that?"
Yeah, because I would have never figured you guys to be the ones to do that, but it's all good. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, giving them the best life possible. So
yeah,
we've worked for years with rescues, and I think worked with years with having dogs and training dogs, and I've been a big proponent of the Doberman Pinscher breed since I was a kid. But I've had about, I want to say we're over 12 or so fosters over the years that we've had of dogs.
Oh, you've had quite a few.
Yeah, and the last one that we fostered short term because someone was on vacation, the actual foster home, she broke me, man. This dog was wild. I mean, she was a cuddle button in the house, but you remember the one I'm talking about.
Broke you like that? It was just out of control nuts, huh?
Oh, I was like, I can't deal with this. I like to think that dogs should have the life that they want, right? Like you kind of, not the life that they want, but like, they have to have a good life, right?
Right.
For sure. But they have to be well behaved, especially when you're in a house, you're in a yard.
100%.
This was a Great Pyrenees mix. And for those of you who do not know Great Pyrenees are herding dogs, right? They're used to protect the herd, and they are super duper defensive about everything when they're in the yard and they're quote unquote patrolling. So she's in our yard, this dog, and she could leap over our 4-foot fence, so we didn't let her out without the leash on. So I had a nice long lead on and just kind of walked around the yard trying to get her to the bathroom. But she wouldn't go to the bathroom because it was fall and there were leaves falling, and the leaves falling were invading her property, which, mind you, she was here for 2 weeks. So it was like, this isn't your property. Like, how do you think this is your property?
Right.
So she would be dragging me, and I'm a big guy, right? At the time I was 200 pounds, 215 pounds at the time, and dragging me across the yard because there was no stopping this beast. And she went back and she got adopted pretty quickly. I think the people who love Great Pyrenees, and they're sweethearts. Like I said, in the house, she was an incredibly cuddly dog. But if you have a farm and you have animals, get a Great Pyrenees. If you are in an apartment in the city, if you don't have a high fence, do not get a Great Pyrenees. I would not recommend it. I like obedient animals. I like them to listen to me when I call them. She would just look at you like, no, we're outside right now.
It kind of goes back to the breed. The breed's not really for people who live in small places. You wouldn't want to get a breed like that if you're in an apartment or somewhere where the dog has no place to run.
Well, but at the same time, right? Like you look at you look at breeds that I would consider good. What would I call it? A good, like, small apartment house dog, right? Like, most people would think that a smaller dog would be perfect for that, right? But it's not
Sometimes,
necessarily
yeah,
always the case. Like a Great Dane, in my opinion, is fantastic for small spaces, right? Great Danes, typically speaking, and I'll again do air quotes for the third or fourth time this episode, but like, they're pretty mellow freaking dogs, right? Like,
yeah,
right? They're
yeah.
super defensive. When they turn on, they turn on, but like, they don't need a lot of space.
No, no.
No.
But like my dog Ranger, he needs space. Like he needs to be able to run. If I don't
Yeah.
take him out to run every, once a week at least, he's miserable, and you can tell, that he needs that. That he needs to get out, and he needs to have his time. And I think some people, when they purchase animals, they don't take those types of thing into thought sometimes, which that can have a lot to do with the dog's behavior. Sometimes if your dog's not getting the time and exercise it needs, or what it needs, it could act up and not be what you would consider maybe a good dog.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately like a lot of the dogs that I fostered over the years and were returned because they were quote unquote bad dogs. And it
Right.
wasn't that they were bad, it was just that they weren't being exercised. They weren't being like, I play games with the dogs, right? So like, I have friends and family that'll send me their dogs and go to Michael camp or hacker camp, doggy camp.
Right.
And they're always perplexed that like when they get the dog back, that the dog's like attitude's completely different. It's like, well, I tire them out. Like, we go and we play, we do, physical exercise, we do hiking, we'll play in the yard, we'll play fetch, and then we also do in-house exercises where, you know, I'm keeping them occupied, right? You got to
Yeah.
keep their mind
You
going, because
have
could
to.
you imagine?
I hate to say it, puppies and dogs are like children. Like if you just keep children cooped up in the house with nothing to do, those kids are going to be bad as hell. I was, if I was able to get out and go wild, dude, I would have been. I was a hellion if I didn't get my time out that I needed. And
Well,
dogs are the
that's why
same ways.
you go
Same
get your chill
way.
pill. Isn't that what you used to
Chill
call
pill. I don't. My goofy father probably did.
it?
Yeah,
So
but it always drives me crazy. That's the one thing that
yeah,
Same with puppies. My mom has pug puppies. Pugs aren't a big breed, but let me tell you
no,
what: if those pug puppies don't get their time to go be puppies and be nuts, oh hell, you better watch out. I mean, they're going to make your life hell. They're going to be
yeah.
wild hellions, go nuts, chew stuff up, do everything they're not supposed to do. You know, I don't know. That's another discussion for another day. People
Yeah.
really figuring out
Well,
what they're, you know.
we can go on a whole topic of dogs. I think it's awesome, right? I think dogs are great companions. If you're into the
100%.
outdoors and you do not have a dog, or you don't feel like you can take care of a dog, the some of the agencies that I worked with, some of the rescue agencies, I would go and I would borrow a dog that wasn't getting the exercise that it wanted because it was in a kennel, because it wasn't adopted yet, and I would take that dog hiking, right?
Right.
I would take that dog back to my house and like play with him inside. I would take him into the yard and play with him in the yard, like kind of get them. It was he that I used to do this with. He was in foster care for quite a long time, and by foster care I meant he was in a shelter. Um, so you can do things like that, and it's a great way to not only do a little bit of good in the world, but help another being, and also help
Figure
yourself,
out,
because
right. Figure out what might
dogs are
work for
awesome.
you. Yeah.
Right, right.
To me, that's the saddest thing when people get dogs and have to return it. Like that's just, that
That's
breaks my heart. That and babies, because they're they have no, they can't take care of themselves. I mean, they can to an extent, but you
yeah.
know what I mean.
I
It's
get you.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that's a topic for another day. But we're coming up on the end here, Joe. I think we we hit on a wide array of topics. I am trying to get a buddy on for next week. I am hoping that this happens. I'm not going to ruin it. This kid, again, I keep saying that because for no concept of time. But he's got some cool stories to tell, and he recently did a cool event that I think would be interesting to tell.
He swam with
And
whales.
he swam with whales as well, yeah. Um, and
Oh man.
I signed up for a Tough Mudder race.
Oh, tough mutters. Here we go.
I'm only
When it
doing
when
only
is it?
doing the 5K. Yeah, it's in the Poconos. It's July 17th. So if you're listening to this and you want to come do a Tough Mudder, um, I am doing it with a group of people that is associated with the Best Day Foundation. You've heard us
That's
talk about
awesome.
that a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out, but they said, oh, we're training. One of the kids was like, oh, I've been running every day. And I said, oh, I was like, so I was at the gym this morning, and I texted them everyone. And I said, I was like, yeah, I trained this morning for it. I lifted weights a little bit faster. I'm not a cardio person, but you know, it's not really, in my opinion, cardio. It's more obstacles and lifting yourself up over things, which I think I'll be all right as long as I don't have to do burpees and run too much. We'll be all right.
You get to pick things up and put them down, pretty much,
Yeah,
right?
I'll be good to go with that one. Yeah.
I mean, anybody who wants to do a Tough Mudder with the Hawk needs to sign up because you will be doing a Tough Mudder with the real Hawk from the comic book, stories.
Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner
I will not say I'm Bruce Banner, but I've never been seen in the same room as Bruce Banner before.
right, exactly. And Michael does change colors when he gets very angry. So
Well, it's usually red. It's not green.
yeah, but little known fact that Bruce Banner actually turned red.
Well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Joey, thank you for joining, man. Everyone,
Anytime,
thank you for
brother.
joining. Please check us out on any platform you listen this to. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram.
Oh.
I've been lagging it behind on these blog posts, Joe, so I need you to write
So
some
am I.
stuff up.
Well, I have a big tournament this weekend, so there'll be a lot of stuff coming out. This is a big one.
Tight lines to you, Joe, and we'll try and do a live from the field, notes from the field this weekend. I know we always say that, but we will attempt to and get you on what your thoughts, tactics are, and everything like that. We will circle back with you on Friday on that one if that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Joey, always a pleasure, brother.
Always a pleasure. Later,
Take
brother.
care, guys. Later, Joe.
Later.